Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So in this video, I wanted to cover the coaching matchup in Week 1 between Josh McDaniels and Brandon Staley. Now, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of talk going on, mainly in Raider fan circles. They somehow think that Josh McDaniels is a made man around the NFL, and he's not. I'm here to tell you he's not. Now, he's a made man in the New England organization, yes, but around the NFL, he is not. So I am going to compare these two guys in this video, and yes, I am a Charger fan, but I am taking my emotion out of this. I am presenting facts in this video, all straight up facts. None of this stuff coming out is my opinion or any hearsay. These are all facts, and these are all researchable facts. If you want to go do your research, or you think I'm just blowing hot air, you can go do your research and you will come across the same thing that I come across, right? So basically, this is how I'm going to frame this, right? This is a coaching matchup of two guys that need to prove it. They need to prove it as head coaches, right? Because obviously Josh McDaniel he's been a part of the New England organization for a really long time. And, you know, he started under Nick Saban, I think, at Michigan State. And I think he ended up, you know, with the New England the New England job. I think he got that through Nick Saban. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have a close relationship. So he's been a part of all 6 Super Bowl championships in New England. Now, he's only been a coordinator for, I think, 4 of those, I want to say. Either 3 or 4, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. He still has 6 rings, right? So he's been a part of the New England organization. He has 6 rings, right? And he does deserve credit for that. But obviously, you cannot discount and you can't take away from the fact that, you know, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were there, right? And that's something I'm going to get into, right? But this is a coaching matchup of guys that need to prove it. So, okay, first, I want to start with Josh McDaniels, right? So Josh McDaniels, obviously, Las Vegas Raider head coach. And, you know, I do think that he will be an upgrade over John Gruden. John Gruden and Mike Mayock, they were kind of just doing whatever they wanted to do. That 10-year contract that John Gruden had gave him the freedom to pretty much do whatever he wanted to do, good or bad, right? And that's not really a situation you want to be in if you are an organization. And if you're fans of an organization, you don't want to be, you know, just, you know, held hostage to a guy who has a 10-year contract and is going to get paid all that money whether or not he does a good job, right? So I think the Raiders are in a better situation coaching-wise with Josh McDaniels as a head coach. But as I said, he is a guy that needs to prove it, right? So I'm going to go over some stuff here. Some facts. Again, these are all facts. I'm going to go over facts here with Josh McDaniels, right? So I've already mentioned Josh McDaniels being in the New England organization. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, we all know it. We all get it. What you need to look at is Josh McDaniels' record outside of New England, right? He has had some coaching stops outside of New England, and you need to look at his records and you need to look at his offenses outside of New England to get the full picture on Josh McDaniels. So Josh McDaniels, we all know he was the Broncos head coach 2008, 2009, right? So his total record for those 2 seasons was 11-17, right? So in 2009, he went 8-8. 2010, he went 3-9. He did not finish the season in 2010. He got fired after week 13. Now, this typically doesn't happen a lot in the league, right? You at least give a guy 2 years to kind of right the ship and kind of get things going. But Josh McDaniels, and again, these are facts, Josh McDaniels rubbed people the wrong way in Denver. He rubbed players, he rubbed his assistant coaches, and he rubbed front office the wrong way. You know, and it was a big thing all the way up until, you know, the ownership group decided to fire him. So this is a huge, huge thing, and this is not just something to gloss over, right? And, you know, Josh McDaniels has spoke about this. You know, he was kind of candid in his introductory press conference, and he admitted he wasn't the best communicator. He falls into these little Belichick-like communication, you know, kind of things, right, where he would just close down. That is not the way to be, right? Bill Belichick can get away with that. Bill Belichick is widely known as the greatest coach in football. Josh McDaniels is not. So he cannot get away with that. So he can't do this anywhere else, right? Anywhere else, and you're going to fail. So obviously, you know, this is something that you have to take into consideration when you're looking at him and you're judging him based on how good of a head coach he is, right? Taking out all the New England stuff out, these are facts. So I want everybody to remember, we all remember Tim Tebow, right? We all remember how horrible of a quarterback he was. We all remember how horrible of an NFL player he was, right? Tim Tebow did not belong in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. Who made Tim Tebow a first-round pick? That was Josh McDaniels' call. Again, facts. These are facts that I am bringing up here. So Josh McDaniels made Tim Tebow a first round pick. And then it was pretty much all downhill from there, right? So the 2009 Broncos ranked 20th in offense, right? 20th. So that is bottom third of the league, right? 2010, they were 19th in offense. Again, bottom third of the league in offense. Josh McDaniels is an offensive coordinator, and that's where that's where he made his money, and that's where he made his mark in New York, right? And he made his mark in New England. That is what he does. He's an offensive coordinator. So if he's an offensive coordinator, his offenses were bottom third in the league while he was in Denver, right? Bottom third in the league in offense and terrible communication skills as a leader of a team. This is not good stuff. This is not good stuff to have on your resume. And this is not stuff that you just gloss over by any stretch. This is not good. And this is the same guy who is coaching the Raiders now, okay? And I said, I give him credit for coming out and admitting that he made a lot of mistakes. I do give him credit for that. But this is here regardless of what anybody says. These are facts. So after he gets fired in Denver in 2010, right, he goes to the Rams, the St. Louis Rams at the time, in 2011, and he is the offensive coordinator in 2011. The Rams that year, obviously they were not a good team. They went 2-14, but their offense was dead last. 32nd in the league in offense under Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator. So what does this tell you? This tells you that Josh McDaniels, this is 3 seasons outside of New England, right? This is not just a little sample size. It's not just a quick 5 or 6 games. These are 3 seasons outside of New England where he had bottom 3 offense, right? His offense is ranked, near the bottom of the league. So this is something, again, you have to take this into consideration. And this brings into question, does he know what he is doing outside of the New England Patriot bubble, right? Outside of Tom Brady, outside of Bill Belichick, does he know what he's doing, right? And again, I am fair and I'm presenting facts and all this, right? I do have to give Josh McDaniels credit for his season that he had last season, right, with Mac Jones. The Patriots, the offense wasn't spectacular, but it was good enough, right? And they pretty much rode, the run game. You had a rookie quarterback, and the Patriots had a strong defense last year. So I do have to give Josh McDaniels credit for that last year, right? He did a pretty good job, all things considered, last year. So I have to give him credit for that. Outside of New England, right? Again, outside of the New England bubble, outside of the Belichick bubble, he has not had any success whatsoever. And to me, the one thing that you can say about this guy is that he is not a brilliant offensive mind. Because we've seen brilliant offensive minds, especially in this generation, right? When you think of a brilliant offensive mind, I'm thinking of Kyle Shanahan. I'm thinking of Sean McVay, right? I'm thinking of Zach Taylor. You think of those guys, they are brilliant offensive minds because they get teams to Super Bowls, right? No Belichick, no Brady. They get teams to Super Bowls, right? They get teams to Super Bowls who shouldn't be there, right? Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl, and nobody considers him to be, good. He's average to below average. This is what great offensive minds in football do. Josh McDaniels is not one of these guys. He has benefited, immensely from Tom Brady, from Bill Belichick, having all those great players around him, having Tom Brady around him to really clean up messes, right? And Tom Brady is a guy, he is not known for any of his physical attributes. Tom Brady is known for everything he does up here. Tom Brady is number one. He's the GOAT because of his information processing. There's nothing you can throw at Tom Brady that he hasn't seen before. And there's nothing that you can throw at Tom Brady that he can't counter. He knows exactly what he's doing, right? So you cannot give the offensive coordinator credit for that. This is a Tom Brady thing. He does everything above board, wherever he's at. We've seen him do it in Tampa Bay when he first got there too, with no training camp. This is Tom Brady. This is what he does. So Josh McDaniels does deserve credit for his time there, but he is not the reason why the Patriots won all those Super Bowls. It is Tom Brady. It is Bill Belichick. It is the unselfishness of Tom Brady as well, too, taking less money on his contract so the Patriots can load up on defense, so they can load up on offense, sign offensive linemen, keep a guy here, not be able to release a guy and let him walk because, they don't have any money. That's what Tom Brady did. So this was a multifaceted approach in New England that he's not going to have in Vegas. So to just say that all of the success he had in New England is going to translate to Vegas doesn't make sense. And it is not based in fact. Because, again, everything that I'm bringing up is all fact. So, Raider fans can say whatever you want to say, right? And like I said, I think the Raiders are in a better position today than they were with John Gruden. But Josh McDaniels is a guy that has to prove it. 11-17 as a head coach. That doesn't say success. That don't say success at all. He's going to have to prove it because there's no Belichick to fall back on. There's no Tom Brady to fall back on. There's no Mr. Kraft up there in the owner's box. This is the Raiders, right? They have, a lot of stuff going on in the front office and, different controversies here and there and all of this stuff. This is the Raiders. This ain't New England. This is not New England at all. There is no Patriot way in Las Vegas. So I'm interested to see how he does. Again, I think they're in a better position, but he is in a prove-it spot. Now, let me transition to Brandon Staley. And again, I said I was going to be fair. So I'm going to be fair here. Brandon Staley is in the same boat. He's in the same position as Josh McDaniels, in my opinion. And I'm a Charger fan. So I like Brandon Staley. This is my personal feelings about Brandon Staley. I like him. I like everything that he says at the press conferences and all that stuff. But he is in a prove-it position as well, too. So we only have a little bit of information, a little bit of data on Brandon Staley, right? He went 9-8 last year. He got hired as the head coach from the Chargers. He got hired from the Rams. He was the defensive coordinator. That Rams defense was pretty good, but obviously, you had Aaron Donald, and you had guys, Jalen Ramsey. So you can take from it what you will, right? But it's not. I'm not taking anything and saying, oh, this guy is the best defensive coordinator I've ever seen, right? Obviously, you're not going to say that. So Brandon Staley is in the same boat because the Chargers were 29th in defense last season, right? And there are a lot of things. You can make a lot of different excuses. As a Charger fan, I can come up here and make a lot of different excuses, right? There was a lot of holdover players last season from the Gus Bradley defense, and obviously that had something to do with the Chargers being ranked so low in defense. But the run game, right? The lack of run defense was embarrassing at times, right? And it doesn't matter who you have, really, holdovers, rookies, whoever, whatever. I haven't seen a Charger team that bad on defense probably ever, right? Especially when it comes to stopping the run. When teams are lining up, they're running, and you can't stop them, right? You can't stop them for a gain of 5 yards, right? You're giving up 10, 15-yard chunks. It was embarrassing last year. And, for a guy to be hired as a defensive guru, so to speak, that's unacceptable, right? It is unacceptable. It doesn't matter who the players are, right? Obviously, the Chargers had enough talent to win 9 games. Most of that was on the back of Justin Herbert and, his heroics. But the defense really did not live up to the billing last year. So I think Brandon Staley is in the same boat as Josh McDaniels. The only difference is Staley doesn't have all of this checkered stuff on, in his past that McDaniels has. Brandon Staley is a better communicator. That's one thing that you can definitely see. He doesn't fall into the Belichick type of communication where he'll just put his hood on and just go cross his arms and not talk to anybody. That's not what he does. So he is a better communicator. And I think that does count for something, especially in the locker room amongst players and, his coaching staff and all that stuff. They will, talk glowingly about him and all of that stuff. And it does count for something, right? But at the end of the day, it's about winning. This league is about winning. And if you're not winning at a level that you should be, especially with the talented team, then, the question marks about you as a coach are going to come, and they're going to be valid and they're legitimate. And I get why people have questions about Brandon Staley. I'm not going to sit up here as I am a Charger fan, but as an objective watcher of football and say that all the questions that people have about Brandon Staley are BS. I cannot say that. I can't say that because Brandon Staley has shown one thing, in his one season, that he is ultra aggressive, right? He's ultra aggressive, but he is aggressive to a fault. And that is not the way, championships have been won in this league. That's the one thing that we know, right? You typically need a coach who is even keeled, right? And, is going to pick their spots to be aggressive and things like that, right? It typically doesn't work either way, right? If a coach is too conservative, you normally don't win anything. If a coach is too aggressive, you normally don't win anything either. You kind of have to balance yourself out. And I think Staley was really, really aggressive to a fault last year. It obviously lost the Chargers some games. And, it is what it is, right? This season, I think he has to tone that down, especially if, these are game losing scenarios, potential game losing scenarios. He's got to tone that down. The Chargers went out and spent a whole bunch of money on defense, and they shored up the defense for this reason, right? There's no need to go for it on 4th and 2 in the second quarter from your own 25, right? Just punt the ball away, let the guys run out there and do what they do on defense. That's what the Chargers spent this money for. So if Brandon Staley is taking these risks again this season, I don't think, anything short of a Super Bowl win. I don't think that I honestly don't think he'll have a job, to be honest with you. Sean Payton has already put his name in the ring, right? He's already said that he is interested in the Chargers. This is something I talked about in a video before. To have a Super Bowl winning coach out there who is a brilliant offensive mind, to have a guy say, hey, I'm interested in your team, right? And to have, your second year coach underachieve for the second year in a row, that is going to make the owners, really think and really ponder about the head coaching situation. So this is definitely something that, I think the Chargers they really, really, really need to get it together. And I think Brandon Staley really needs to get it together. I think he has to have success this season because he needs to prove it, right? And all of the excuses now have all went away with all of the free agent moves, all of the offseason moves, everything the Chargers did in the draft as well too. The Chargers have more than enough to get it done. So Brandon Staley's in the same boat as Josh McDaniels. These guys are different. They're different personalities, but they are really in the same boat. And it's interesting, too, because Brandon Staley coached where Josh McDaniels played college football at John Carroll. So they do have like some sort of connection there. But they are different guys. They're different people, different personalities, but they are in the same boat. I think they have more in common than they don't. These are guys that have to prove it. And, we've heard about both of these guys and how smart they are and, how, really, really with it they are, when it comes to scheme and all of this stuff, but all of that can take you only so far. You need to win in this league. You can't just talk. You need to win and you need to have results, especially on both sides of the ball. The Raiders' offense has to be good. You can't have a middle of the pack offense, especially now with all the weapons that the Raiders have. If the Raiders are not top 10 in offense, this is a failure of a year. Make no mistake about it, Raider fans. This is a failure of a year. The Raiders need to be top 10 in offense. And the Chargers, they got to be, top 10, top 15 in defense. Or else this is a failure for the Chargers. So both these guys are really in the same boat. This is not a coaching matchup. This is not a Belichick versus an Andy Reid coaching matchup. These two guys both need to still prove it, right? Even though, Josh McDaniels has had a lot of success as an assistant coach, he hasn't had the same success as a head coach, right? When that HC is next to your name, it's different. It's different. You are responsible for everything. And, if your defense comes out and plays bad and all of this stuff, you're still responsible because you are the head coach. He didn't have that burden in New England, right? If the defense came out and gave up 40 points, what did he have to do with that? It wasn't his fault. He was coaching offense, right? That burden, it's there now. So that's something he's also going to have to deal with as well, too. And he hasn't dealt with it in a really long time. He hasn't been a head coach since 2010, right? This has been 12 years. So, obviously I think he has changed some things up. I think he's matured a little bit as well, too. But the Raiders got to ball. Their offense has to ball because this is what Josh McDaniels does. He's an offensive coach. They have to ball. If they're not balling, then it is going to be a failure. And like I said, same thing for Staley, too. All of the excuses have gone out of the window for both of these men. Both of these men have everything that they need to succeed, right? Maybe except for McDaniels, the offensive line is not good. And I've already covered that. But, obviously he feels okay with it going into week one, right? Or else they would have made some changes. So he feels okay with this offensive line that he has now. So all of the excuses have went out of the window. If both of these guys don't match up to their billing and what they've been talked about as, then both of them could be gone. Easily. Both of them could be gone. Josh McDaniels could be back in New England. Brandon Staley could be coordinating a defense somewhere else. But this is a matchup of guys that need to prove it. Make no mistake about it. This is not a matchup of guys who are established as head coaches, right? It's not. It's just not. It is what it is. But I wanted to cover that, and I wanted to be clear about that because both these guys need to prove it. They need to prove it over the next, year, the next 2 years, whatever. They need to prove that they have what it takes to take a team to, playoff runs, Super Bowls as head coaches. Not along for the ride, not coaching one side of the ball, but as head coaches, CEOs of these organizations, right? That's what they need to prove, both of them. So I think I made that clear, and I think I've been pretty fair here too as well. So if you're a Raider fan watching this, don't come in my comments saying this and that because I've been fair. I pointed out good and bad about both these guys. And like I said, they're both in the same boat. They both need to prove it as head coaches. So, hey, it is what it is, right? So, like I said, I am an objective watcher of football. I'm not just a craze fan who can, talk good about everybody who's on my team and good about every coach. And no. That's not who I am. If somebody needs improvement, I can come out and say it. If somebody is balling, I can come out and say it. Everything else in between, too. I am objective. I'm rooting for the Chargers, but hey, it is what it is, right? So that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys for all the support. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all my new subscribers. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out as well, too. I'll be back with more content. We're getting closer and closer to week 1. And I can't wait. So I'll be back covering more topics as the week goes on. So that's all I got for this one, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you later.